2022 was a big year for the channel, so I wanted to take a look back on some of the builds that we did throughout the year. The first one I wanted to take a look at was our adventure style house. Again, if you want to check out any of these videos where I built these builds, you can click the card in the top right corner whenever the build pops up. But this adventure style build was my chance to actually work with gradients for one of the first times and actually include diorite into something that looked really good. As with all of the builds that I do, I really had a lot of fun building this one, but I think I learned a lot about just using gradients and building that pattern from being more dark towards the bottom and lighter as it gets up to the top. Overall, this was a great experience and I definitely want to do something like this again. Next, I have our elevated dirt hut, where we took our very basic dirt hut that we have all done in a standard Minecraft survival let's play, and we built it for a new generation with a bunch of the new blocks. With the 1.19 addition to Minecraft, we got the mangrove woods, and I love the reds for this. I especially love the mud blocks. It brings out so much to this build, and I love the fact that both colors complement each other very, very well. If I had to change anything about this base, I would probably add some stripped mangrove to the sections with full blocks, but other than that, very happy with how this turned out, and I would totally build this over a dirt hut any day. Showing off builds that means so much to me for 2022, I definitely cannot forget the 2-player underground base. This was such a fun build to have because not only did I get to express my own creativity with my side of the base, I was also able to team up with my wife and let her take a crack at playing Minecraft on the computer and building up her own side to this build. I really love the style of underground bases and what they offer for players, but I think having a 2-player design is also a great option for those who like to play together. Now, I did not do a tutorial on this build, but I did build this as a little bit of a creative outlet and made it into a short / TikTok to share. I love Japanese architecture and I love how this temple came to be. The colors go together so well. I love the fact that I got to use deep slate into a large quantity, kind of venture into using concrete, which I don't do a whole lot of outside of modern builds, but I think that accompanied with the spruce and barrels for some more added decoration, this temple came together really well. Also, if you have a favorite build that you see in this video, please let me know in the comments down below. And of course, I can't forget the trio of giant swords that we did that were inspired by our good friend Gold Robin. This was such a great idea that came together just from a short clip that I saw on TikTok. A giant statue of 3 different swords in the ground, and I'm like, that would look amazing in Minecraft. So even though they are not exact replicas of that piece of artwork, I think they look really good and they come together really nicely with a lot of the blocks that we get. And I'm hoping eventually we can get the reinforced deep slate right here to actually use as a building block instead of just in creative, because it looks really cool and I really want to use it in a lot of builds. Around the middle of the year, I decided to go on a 10-day build challenge where for 10 days I built a new build every single day. And I have to say that my favorite build was getting to combine a lot of the things that I learned in that challenge to build this giant steampunk style house. This build allowed me to experiment more with world edit and doing more terraforming, as well as using gradients in the roof style here, and also experimenting with different blocks like copper that I normally don't use in my builds. I also really like windmills and I don't build them that often, so getting to use those in this kind of placement was really, really nice. And also, again, just using copper, because I don't use copper a whole lot. It's one of those blocks where I'm like, that's really cool, where am I going to use it? And steampunk is definitely the way to go. And while we're here, I wanted to showcase my floating island castle. This build was a great example of taking 4 giant blocks of stone and turning them into something completely different. Because basically what I did was I stacked them as one next to each other and then took out some of the details, added in some definition and some texture, and then topped them off with everything else that you see here. I also used warped wood for contrast with the deep slate roof, and I think it turned out really good. And the only thing I would do next time if I built this was actually just build it bigger, but I'm really happy with how this turned out. And let's not forget our recreation of the bottom pole from Hermitcraft. Yeah, I'm 100% kidding, that's okay. And next we have our honeycomb survival base. I had a lot of controversy when I first posted this because I originally labeled this as a starter base, and I decided to put it to the test, and I actually did test it out to see how long it would take me to get enough honey to build this house. And yeah, you guys were right, it's definitely not a starter base by any means, so I decided to change it to a survival base. But ever since bees were introduced, I feel like honeycomb was an underutilized block. I've seen it in pixel art and I've seen it in other people's bases, but I had never seen a base that was specifically centered around honey itself. So I wanted to showcase a lot of the different things with that update, which was like bee nests, honey blocks, bee hives, all these kind of things, everything that went together to build this, and even give it its own shape and use honeycomb on the outside just to build the entire base. Overall, this one was a lot of fun to build. I had so much fun coming up with the different designs and then eventually just settling on this one, and it seemed like a lot of people really enjoyed it. So those of you who did, thank you very much. We did so many builds in 2022. I really can't wait to see what we come up with in 2023. YouTube thinks you guys would like these videos, so go ahead and click on one of those if you want to see more of my content. Also, don't forget to check out the links to the description down below. If you liked a favorite build, comment down below as well. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Always remember, the most important thing is to be odd and wash your hands. Peace, guys.